Besides the United States, Real Brokers only open in one other country, and that is Canada. In fact, Canada makes up about 10% of all of Real Broker agents, yet they make up about 17% of all Real Broker transactions. And Canada is actually growing at a faster pace than the US is. So today I'm going to give you a complete overview of Real Broker Canada and how some of the numbers are actually different for Canada than they are the United States. So in this video, I'm going to be covering the costs and fees in Canada, the stock awards in Canada, the revenue share program in Canada, and the elite agent program in Canada, which is pretty significantly different than the elite agent program in the United States. Now, real quick, one thing I love about Real is that you can actually sponsor agents into the company anywhere in the United States or Canada. So if you're looking to learn more about Real Broker and want a sponsor or a co-sponsor into the company, I'd be happy to hop on a one-on-one video call with you. I have a link down in the description below where you can sign up for that. Let's start off with the costs and fees. So Real Broker has an 85-15% split, just like we have here in the United States, and we have a $12,000 a year cap in Canadian dollars, just like we have a $12,000 a year cap in US dollars here in the United States. Now here's what's interesting about that. If you were to actually convert the $12,000 a year cap that we have in the United States to Canadian dollars, that $12,000 should be $16,000 with current conversion rates. So what this means is it's actually cheaper to do business in Canada than it is to do it in the United States. You effectively have a lower cap than the United States agents do. Now, the reason that I believe that they did this is because of the rev share program, which I'll go into a little bit more details later on, but they wanted to keep all the numbers the same regardless of what country that you're coming from. So in Canada, there's a $12,000 cap, and then there's a one-time $249 sign-up fee in Canadian dollars, just like there's a $249 sign-up fee in US dollars. Now in the US, we have a $750 annual fee that we have to pay out of our first 3 transactions of the year. In Canada, there's a $1,200 Canadian annual fee that you pay out of your first 3 transactions of the year. So the annual fee does look like they actually did increase it just to compensate for that exchange rate. Now after you cap, you do keep 100% of your commission, but there is a $275 transaction fee for every transaction after that. After you hit Elite Agent, that drops down to $125 Canadian dollars per transaction. Now, interestingly enough, this $275 transaction fee is actually cheaper than the US, where we have a $285 transaction fee. And in the US, we also have an E&O insurance fee of $30 across the board on every transaction. You guys actually do not have that in Canada. So it actually is pretty significantly cheaper in Canada to be an agent than it is in the US. You don't have the E&O insurance fee, your transaction fee is reduced, your cap is effectively reduced since we didn't convert it from US to Canadian properly, but you guys do have an increased annual fee of $1,200 Canadian compared to our $750 US fee. Another quick side note, I actually built an online Canadian fee calculator, which you can find on my website, nextgenagents.com. With this calculator, you can enter in how many transactions a year that you do, what your average sales price is, and what your average percentage commission is. Just those 3 numbers, and I'll calculate exactly how much it will cost you in fees every year, how many transactions you need to cap every year, and how many transactions you need to hit Elite Agent every year. You should also know that if you have a team, your team members actually get a $6,000 a year cap instead of the $12,000 a year cap. And if you as the team leader hit Elite Agent, the transaction fee for your entire team drops to $125, not just you. Next, we can talk about the stock program. So Real actually has 4 ways that it gives away completely free stock to the agents in the company. 3 of these ways are exactly the same as they are in the US. One of them is a little bit different, and that's going to be the Elite Agent program. So the first way is that Real Broker has a stock purchase program. You can put 5% of your commission towards buying stock in the company before you cap, and Real will give you a 10% bonus on that free stock. After you cap, you can put 10% of your commission towards buying stock and Real will give you a 20% bonus of free stock on top of your purchase. Now, these percentages, they will change as the company grows. So these are kind of early adopter percentages. As the value of the stock goes up and as the number of the agents go up, the free percentage of the stock will actually go down. So I do recommend taking advantage of this while we're still in these earlier years of the company. The next way to receive free stock is simply by capping at the company. Currently, when you cap, you receive $150 in free stock in the company. And like I said before, it's actually easier for Canadian agents to cap than it is for US agents. The third way is going to be our attraction award. So when you attract an agent to the company and they close their first transactions, currently you receive 75 shares of completely free stock in the company. Now, the fourth way to receive free stock is with our elite agent program. This is where you want to pay attention because this is where it differs from our US program. So there's actually two ways to hit elite agent. So both countries, you need to first cap with the company. The most common way is that after you cap, you pay $9,000 in post-cap transaction fees to the company. So with the Canadian transaction fee being $275, 9,000 divided by 275 is about 33 transactions that you need to close after you cap. Now, in the US, we only need to pay $6,000 in post-cap transaction fees, and our transaction fee is actually a little bit higher at $285. So it is easier to hit this benchmark in the US than it is in Canada. And one thing to keep in mind that if you are a team leader, part of your transaction fees for your team members will actually count towards you hitting elite agent as a team leader. And how they determine that is what percentage of the commission that you're taking. So if you're taking 50% of your team members' commission, then 50% of that transaction fee will count towards your elite agent transaction fee cap. And of course, after you hit elite agent, your transaction fee for your entire team drops to $125 per transaction. So effectively, if you close 33 transactions a year after you cap, Real will give you the performance award of $16,000 in free stock in the company, and you're then eligible for the cultural award. In order to hit the cultural award, you simply just need to give back to the Real Broker community or your local community. Typically what people do is they just teach a monthly class in the Real Academy. It's kind of how we incentivize our top producing agents to give back to the Real community and provide training. So combine the cultural award and performance award equal $24,000 in free stock in the company. Now there actually is a second way that you can hit elite agent in Canada as well, which is actually more common than it is here in US because you guys have a higher average sales price. But effectively, if you hit $500,000 in GCI with at least 10 transactions, this will also get you the performance award of $16,000 and eligible for the cultural award of $8,000 in free stock in the company. So in Canada, there's a bit of a trade-off. It's going to be cheaper for the majority of agents compared to the US agents, but it is going to be a little bit harder to hit elite agent in Canada than it is in the United States. So next, let's talk about the revenue share program in Canada. And I believe my theory is that the rev share program is largely why they had to keep the cap the same in Canada. So at Real Broker, anybody that you directly bring into the company, you'll receive 5% of their GCI until they cap. And so with a $12,000 a year cap, that means that you'll receive up to $4,000 a year in rev share for every agent that you directly bring into the company. And in Canada, that's $4,000 Canadian. In the US, is $4,000 US. And our rev share program actually goes down 5 tiers. So anybody that you directly bring in is considered in your tier 1. Anybody they bring in, you'll receive 4% of every commission that they close until they cap, which is a maximum of $3,200 a year for your tier 2 agents. Anybody they bring in, you'll receive 3% of every commission they close until they cap, which is a maximum of $2,800 a year, and they'll be in your tier 3. Anybody they bring in will be in your tier 4, and you'll receive 2% of every commission they earn until they cap, which is a maximum of $16,000 a year. And anybody they bring in will be in your tier 5, and you'll receive 1% of every commission they close until they cap, which is a maximum of $800 a year in rev share. So as you can see, rev share can actually turn into a pretty significant stream of income for a lot of agents. The next thing I want to touch on is that Real Broker actually has 2 big events every year. The first one is going to be the Rise event, which is usually in the United States. The second one is what they call the Real Summit, and this is going to be in Canada, really for our Canadian agents. We just had it a few months ago in Banff, Canada. So Canada definitely is a pretty important part of Real Broker's overall strategy, and they definitely do want to put a lot of resources and energy to support our Canadian agents. If you want to learn more about Real Broker and looking for a sponsor or a co-sponsor into the company, I'd love to hop on a one-on-one video call with you. I have a link down in the description below where you can set that up. And if you want to see Tamir Poleg, the CEO of Real Broker's presentation at this year's Real Summit, where he talks about how important Real Canada is and goes over a lot of the Canadian numbers, you can check out his presentation right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you.